Hello, everybody. This is Mark Smith with Family Tree Brand Life Coaches. Happy New Year. This is, as you would recognize it, not my office in Carmel, Indiana. It is also not my office in by the beach in South Carolina. This is our new home, our new condo in Indianapolis. So when we're in town, we have a place to stay. So this is my Indianapolis home office. And I just had a few things to check in with. And we will be doing the live stream tomorrow night. I know I will. I'm not sure if Renda will be joining me or not. It'll probably be from the office there in Carmel. So wanted to update people in terms of how my daughter is doing. She is better. She is hospitalized, and hopefully is going to be getting better still. So she's safe at least. So we're excited about that. So the topic of my video today is you were victimized in childhood. And y'all know me, I'm Mr. There are no victims. But sometimes people misunderstand that, and they think that I'm telling them that they weren't victimized during their childhoods. And the truth is of course you were victimized during your childhoods. We don't grow up and pick narcissists to marry unless we were raised by hurtful, addictive, narcissistic people. So I'm actually replying to a woman named Donna who made a comment yesterday on New Year's Eve 2017 on my video, The 8 Habits of Unhealthy, Unhappy People. And this is what she wrote. While I believe there's a lot of positive points in the right direction that Mark Smith conveys, he totally misses the most important subject for all of us who have suffered unspeakable abuse. And no one is going to tell me I'm not a victim when my father began molesting me at 4 years old until I was 6 with my mother's full knowledge. She was a nurse. I'm not kidding anyone when I say that I could write a best-selling book on the abuse I experienced at the hands of my well-to-do Caucasian parents. And it's no surprise that my first husband was just like my father. The domestic abuse was just so awful that I was treated worse than a dog. I left him 10.5 years ago. For all of you out there who have suffered as I have, you'll all understand that while I broke the pattern and married my second husband, and we've just celebrated our 6-year wedding anniversary, that the pain and memories just don't disappear, poof, like magic. And I've been going to counseling for well over 11 years. And I haven't been helped one bit, because most of those serving others in the mental health industry go into that profession because they are seeking out to find what's wrong with their own lives. And that's a proven fact. How very naive I was to think otherwise. And I absolutely know that so many of you truly get what I'm talking about. These videos can provide help. But let's all remember that we possess intelligent brains. So to all of you, trust your gut immediately and don't look back. God didn't create idiots. So, Donna, I just reading this made me so sad that you would think that I was telling you that you weren't victimized as a child when you were sexually abused by your father. Oh my God, that's not what I meant. You were horrifically, unspeakably abused as a child. Your mother knew, and your dad was molesting you. That's just horrific. And I talk a lot about my own childhood. Let's see. I was abandoned by my father. I was abandoned by um, my mother when I was an infant, which is the deep wound. She would leave me sitting out in the backyard while I would scream until I turned purple. Um, let's see, what else? My mother was a rager. She was physically abusive. She had affairs with my father. She had spending addiction. She had a food addiction. She lied. She was a manipulator. She was a borderline. She was like a fake mother. I took care of my infant baby sister when I was 10 years old, and she was 2 months old, and she died of crib death. And I blamed that on myself and carried that with me. I was sexually abused. I had to move every year and a half as a child. I had it sort of rough. There were 7 children. And then when my mother remarried, there were 9 children. My stepfather hit me in the ear and burst my eardrum, and it's still not right. So I've been through a few things in my childhood. I know many of you have been through a lot worse. But here's where you misunderstood what I was saying, Donna. God bless you. You were victimized by your father and by your mother. You were not victimized, however, by your first husband. And that's the point that'll set you free. All you people out there, if you have victim mentality, it's cancer. And nobody in the world made you pick your first husband. You did. And the reason you did it is you had a radar to help you reenact the wounds of your childhood so you could heal the wounds of your childhood. So you also stayed with him for 10 and a half years. Nobody made you stay for 10 and a half years. So when it comes to your ex-husband, you picked him and you stayed and you were not victimized. And you did it on purpose to reenact the wounds of your childhood so you could heal for those 11 years. And if you haven't been helped at all, then you're going to the wrong therapist or you're not open to doing good work, one or the other. You know, it's probably that you've gone to some sucky therapist is why you haven't gotten better. But I would submit that you probably have gotten better. And then when you say you broke the cycle and now you're all happy with your second husband, you've been married 6 years. Well, what we do in marriage is you either pick your type or you pick your anti-type. And your type, of course, was your marriage to the first husband, you know, who was an abuser like your father and, you know, sick like your mother. But what we sometimes do in a second marriage is we pick the polar opposite. We pick the nicest guy in the world or the nicest woman in the world. He's not too much healthier than the first one. That's an immutable law of nature. If you haven't made any progress in therapy in 11 years, you didn't fix yourself just by being smart and by, you know, not being, as you put it, an idiot and using your mind. What you did was you probably picked the nicest guy in the world, and it's a lot better than obviously picking a monster. The only downside to picking an anti-type is eventually sometimes there's, you know, not a whole ton of chemistry, but who cares? It's safe, and safety was what you were looking for. So Donna, I hope that has spoken to you and that you don't get defensive. If you get defensive over this, what it tells me is you're not teachable. All right? And in order to get better, you need to have 5 qualities. First of all, you have to have a great therapist, but you have to be highly motivated to work on yourself because you really understand how broken you are. Number 2, you have to be teachable. Number 3, you have to have the courage to feel your emotional pain and the ability to do so. Number 4, you have to be able to trust a therapist. Doesn't sound like you've been able to really trust one. Maybe they suck. I don't know. They very well could all suck. But you gotta find somebody you can trust, you can do your work with, and you can have what we call an enlightened witness. And then the last thing is you just got to do the homework, which is watching the videos and reading books and that kind of thing. So sorry, I'm looking up. I've got this new setup where my TV's higher, and I keep getting tempted to look up at my knuckleheaded self, and that's why I'm looking up there. So, Donna, I hope that has spoken to you. That's not bad news that you're responsible for picking your narcissistic first husband. All y'all, that's good news, because we can't change people. The only people we got any kind of shot at changing is our own selves. And if we don't change ourselves, then, and if the world is such that a narcissist can come along and do voodoo magic on us and take us into marital hell anytime they want to, then we might as well just all, end it right now, if that were true. If we're not responsible and we have no power and they can just put us through 10.5 years of hell, I'll be the first one to sign off and get the fuck out of here, because that's a death sentence. If tomorrow, some narcissistic crazy woman comes along and causes me to leave my good wife Brenda and be married to a monster, well, life's it's not worth living. But the truth is, we're responsible for ourselves as adults. We're adults, and you make choices. Now, you don't have really a lot of power to make the choice than what you did. You couldn't have chosen to pick a healthy man, Donna. You were going to pick somebody like your dad, because that's how Mother Nature has designed it for us to heal, for you to automatically have a rate. If you were in a room with 100 men the week you met your first husband, and 99 of them were not narcissists and would never cheat or lie or abuse, there's no room like that on the planet, unfortunately. And one of them was somebody put together like your father. That's the only one you'd have thought was hot. So our sexuality is calibrated by our woundedness in our childhood. I wish it wasn't so, but it's so. Anybody tells you different doesn't have the slightest clue what they're talking about. So you were victimized in your childhood. I just had to say that, because I didn't want people to misunderstand that I'm saying if you're sexually abused in your childhood, you're not victimized. You most certainly are victimized horrifically. So thank you guys for watching today. And like I said, we'll be on the live stream tomorrow. I'm going to be here for about a week, and I'm going back to South Carolina. My lovely bride is going to go do some work at Onsite. So lots of wonderful things going on in the new year. Family Tree is thriving, and we're about ready. Within a week, we'll be at 3 million views. If you haven't subscribed to our channel, please do so. And also look for my books on abandonment issues, on narcissistic abuse recovery, on shame, on affair recovery, on marital issues at our website, familytreecounseling.com. Have a wonderful New Year's Day. I'm going to go make me some cabbage and ham and black-eyed peas and potatoes. So I got to do that to have a prosperous New Year. It's an Irish thing, even though turns out I'm not Irish. I'm more Italian than anything. So anyway, God bless y'all, and we'll talk with you.